Well, good morning, everybody. It is the 29th of March here in Minsk. It's just about 9 o'clock, about maybe 5 minutes till, and it's starting to get warm in here. It's right now, it's like 3 degrees, and by the time the afternoon rolls around, it's going to be, I don't know, where you don't wear a coat. You feel very uncomfortable if you're having a coat on. And I'm at the Pirshamaiskaya off the Red Line. And as you see, a very nice area here. You exit the metro, like right over there, and yeah, and you walk right onto a, well, in Germany they call it a Fußgängerweg, place where you can walk or bicycle or skateboard or whatever the whole deal is. And as you see, people are fishing over there. That's a very nice area, very calm, very nice on Sundays. I'm just letting you know about the setting here. Hotel over that way, and yeah, a very peaceful place. I really like coming here. And this is the metro stop I've told you guys about. It's like the Matrix. It's the only metro stop in Minsk where you exit on the right side, and it's that's interesting. So okay, well, what's going on in the world today? I don't know if I can walk underneath this. I don't want to take the chance carrying this thing. Okay, yeah. It's very repetitive trying to do the news nowadays. Gosh, I gotta carry this thing a little bit differently. Matter of fact, maybe I'll go like this. You guys can see the water, because I don't like the sunburst. You guys don't like the sunburst. It looks pretty terrible with the backlighting, I guess you would call it. Okay, what was I just saying? Anyway, a lot of the stuff going on in the world. It's very repetitive doing the news because it just continues the same way. There's Israel doing their bombings of Lebanon, and occasionally, I don't know, maybe once a week, they go ahead and they bomb Syria, and they're trying to get over Gaza. They're right now going in full swing, and they're trying to talk about displacing, I guess you would say. Well, I don't know. These people don't have homes anymore. Displacing like 10,000 a day, and I guess they said it will take 6 months to ethnically cleanse, going by that, ethnically cleanse Gaza. And where they're going to send them, they're just, I think they found places for a couple hundred of them in some country somewhere, construction jobs or whatever, and they're trying to force a lot into Egypt and Somaliland. In other words, just ethnically cleanse the area. And of course Trump says, oh, they can come back. I don't know, I say that every time. And obviously they're not going to be able to come back. They don't have that kind of money to buy luxury apartments or whatever the deal is that they're expecting to be building there. Whether that's going to happen or not is another story too. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about that every video. Donald Trump Jr. involved in it. And well, I was thinking BlackRock. Maybe BlackRock really is, but there's also, BlackRock had been trying to buy a port. Well, I think it's actually 3 ports in the Panama Canal area, and 1 port, at least, is owned by Hong Kong. So Trump was right. The Chinese got the place, and they don't want to sell it to BlackRock. So I don't know. Trump is still like a real estate guy going around all over, and thinking he's going to get the Crimea and all that sort of deal. I don't know what's going on. Greenland, a lot to say about Greenland. I'll get into that in a minute here. But oh, look at the nice colors. Isn't it incredible? Early in the morning you get warm colors. It's well, it's not that early, but in summertime it would be early. If I'd have to come out here like maybe 7 o'clock or so, not 9 o'clock. Maybe actually even earlier than 7, maybe 6. Okay, but a lot of people are doing speeches. A lot of speeches going on. Vance, big speeches. Zelensky, speeches. Trump, speeches. Well, I call these interviews oftentimes speeches as well, to the press. And so speeches and speeches, So what do we start off with here? Well, Trump gives them about every day. Zelensky every second day. Putin maybe once or twice a week, and Vance maybe one every 10 days, some sort of a speech. What I'm talking about is more than just like a minute or two, or just more than just off the cuff, coming out and saying some whatever the heck is on their minds. But Zelensky, his speeches, it's normally he has to throw in there something about evil Russia, evil Russia. And you meet people and they have their selling points. Some people like they get on maybe on internet and they have to keep saying about their like Duke in Belarus, go there, something like that. And Zelensky is evil Russia, and he's got to push that, and every time he gets up and does any kind of a public speaking. So evil Russia, Putin this. Yeah, but Trump very often has to take a jab at Joe Biden and all the mess that he created. But of course, I find that more genuine because it's actually very true. Okay, but let's see. Continue here. But he's got three topics, Zelensky. Evil Russians, war, and money. Money. Die. That means like give in Russian. Die. There was somebody made a video, and they have like about 20 Zelenskys on there. I'll go die. Give. And everybody knows he's completely dependent on getting money from the West. And it's like really strange. You would think if you were the leader of a country, you would not like start a war with somebody unless you had the resources to, unless you think you have the resources to actually win the war. But I don't know, this guy, and depending on other people. I mean, the rest, we all live our lives, like trying to be self-dependent, right? I mean, you don't go out and say, well, I'm going to go do this, and these people are going to help me, and that person's going to help me doing all of this continually. You always, all of us want to know, you want to make it on our own, but I don't know. At least most of us. Maybe some people, the lefties, they have to depend on other people all the time. That's how it is. I don't know. To me, I can't understand those people. Maybe most of you can't either. I don't know what your disposition is, but that's how Zelensky is. And actually, if you think about it, sadly, very sadly enough, the Ukrainians have been that way for a long time. I mean, you can go back decades, many decades, and they were dependent on Russia to give them everything. And, it's just like Zelensky. It's terrible. You get a mindset like this. And if it's not enough, then you keep on begging for more and beg the people that they didn't give you enough. And you're never even supporting yourself. And Russia's, of course, been much different. So that is actually a big difference between Ukrainians and Russians. And a lot of us from the West, we look at them as all being the same, the Belarusians, the Ukrainians, and the Russians. But, there are some slight differences. And Ukrainians, unfortunately, it's not, they're human beings. And, of course, they're just conditioned to be that way, depending on everybody else to take care of them. Everybody has to give them things, and then they... Sadly enough, they have this thing in their culture where they're bragging that they're the greatest people on earth, but yet dependent on everybody else. It's like, what the heck? How can that possibly be? And then unfortunately, they created a fake history, that said they're the leading people in all of history, like the master race. They made they created the pyramids of Egypt. Jesus was a Ukrainian. Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and everybody else were Ukrainians. Anybody that's great in history somehow is linked to Ukraine. All of the great things that happen in history, somehow Ukraine had something to do with it. The brilliant minds and all that sort of a deal. And, forget the fact that most all that stuff that's in Ukraine was built by mostly Russian peoples, planned at least, and the engineering of Russian peoples, It's not to say that there is nobody in Ukraine like that. Of course there is. But it's just terrible to be brainwashing your people like that. You get this sense of nationalism, and that you're so great and better than everybody else, and therefore everybody has to listen to you. And, growing up in the United States, you get a lot of that yourself too. But at least during my days, I don't know, maybe most of you as well that are watching this, that you're Americans, it's like they tried to imprint into us that we are a good people, we're a generous people, we help everybody, and things like that. And you find out as you get older and you find a little more facts of history that that's certainly not the case, that we, for the most part, go around exploiting everybody. and have been, but there of course is a good side to the United States. There's no doubt about that. Did a lot of help in a lot of places, and it's just like, say, the Marshall Plan or something, rebuilding Europe, and Germany became an incredibly powerful country, but maybe there's some strings attached as well. I don't know. And right now, America's trying to put some slave shackles on a lot of places in a lot of countries, and a lot of countries aren't going to really go for that. And you saw this new, who's going to be the Prime Minister apparently of Canada. He doesn't want to go for that. Not even the people in Greenland are wanting to go for that. But there's a big push, and I'll get into that too in a little bit here. So let's keep going here. It was in the news that they already agreed on this minerals deal, but apparently they haven't agreed on a minerals deal. Nothing was signed. I don't know what. I guess it was fake news. Maybe it was from the Russian side, and it's not that they purposely putting out fake news, but maybe some reporters or something in the West were saying things. Oh, it's already been agreed upon. Nothing was signed, and it's not fully agreed upon either. But anyway, I'll get into that a little bit more, because I found a little article and I put it later on in my notes here about what the deal is about here. But Zelensky, in his speeches, he is again reiterating that this money that came from the United States is not a loan, and they don't intend on paying it back. And of course, this has to do with the minerals deal too. And I'll talk about the mineral deals right now. I'll have to skip over that when I get a little bit later on, further down into my notes. But what the deal is the United States is pushing, kind of like what they were doing before. They want 50% of all the proceeds or all the profits and things from their mineral deal, and 50%. And I think the amount is not like the 350 billion or whatever Donald Trump was saying, or I think he was even going up to 500 billion. I think the amount that they're trying to put forward, which has not yet been agreed upon, but I think it might be, the lowest number is like, I think 116 billion, and a high number, I believe, I think maybe it was the middle number. They're looking at 120 billion. So Ukraine is supposed to be paying back 120 billion. And what I said before was this agreement did not have any security guarantees. However, if the United States is there extracting minerals, of course, that in and of itself is part of a security agreement, because Russia's not going to be bombing those areas either. They wouldn't dare to do that. And I don't know, I saw an article as well, luckily it didn't say anything about it, that Ukraine is already putting weapons in areas that are where the minerals are at, or ammunition depots. A lot of stuff coming out, and maybe some of this is also fake Russian. I don't have any idea. But Ukraine is really trying to vamp up their weapons production. They're inviting a lot of British in and things like that. And apparently that's all legitimate. I mean, legitimate news, not legitimate things. But they're really they're pushing for a long-term war. The Europeans and the Ukrainians, which I guess they're Europeans as well, but they're looking for a long-term war. And Donald Trump is hoping to end this. Putin wants to end it. And funny enough, Zelensky is coming out and saying Russia doesn't want to end it, but yet all the agreements and arrangements that they're having with the other countries of Europe, it shows that Zelensky doesn't want it to end. So I guess that's a form of projection, accusing your opponent, enemy, or whatever of what you are actually guilty of. No surprise there. No surprise there. But Zelensky said he's an honest man. You guys all heard that too. Wow. Okay. And Zelensky's saying that they're, another thing he's saying, and you heard Macron saying this, and you've heard it also from Starmer, they, at least verbally, they're planning on putting military in Ukraine. Peacekeepers, of course, peacekeepers are going to call them peacekeepers. And I don't even think Zelensky was calling them peacekeepers. He wants military there. And of course, that's just a slow walk into putting NATO into Ukraine. And one of the major reasons why this, I don't know, I call it a war, but it's really actually not a war when you really consider things, where this special military operation actually started. And there's even on Russian TV shows, there's a lot of these politicians, are looking at these Europeans like Starmer and Macron and wondering if these people really, really know what they're saying, because they said if there's going to be a war between Europe and Russia, that Russia will not treat those countries involved like they are treating Ukraine. As I told you, and a lot of people have probably also told you, they look at Ukrainians as part of their people. They're the same branch of Slavic peoples that the Russians are and the Belarusians are, and it's going to be much different if there's going to be a war between these other countries. And you would hope that Putin would at least, and I would think that he would. He doesn't really want to kill any innocent people. He doesn't want to kill any people, but especially not the innocent people. And of course, I think what he probably would do is tell people, say for example, Frankfurt. He would say, all you people, you got 48 hours to get out, because Frankfurt is going to be nothing but a pile of dust afterwards. And they certainly have the means to do that. And apparently they are gaining the means to do that without nuclear weapons, by the way. Gosh, still sunbursts. Oh, the sun's over that way. I guess I took a little bit of a turn. I know I got to hold this in a different hand here. Walking under a tunnel. So, like I said, they're talking about that in Russian parliament now. I can't even read now. It's too dark here. And also, Zelensky said, these people, what they're going to do is he's going to talk with these willing countries. Obviously, it's going to be France, and it's going to be Great Britain, and maybe the great mighty powers of Estonia and things, with all of their 400 people in their military. Well, they got a little bit more than that, actually, but and I don't know, Poland, what does Poland have? I think, what do they have, 100 and something thousand now? They used to be 60,000. They've doubled, and they want to double that again. Poland is actually cruising for a war, but most of this is about, they want to get into Belarus, and they want to take over at least the Brest region, possibly the Grodno regions over there, and they have made no secret of that. No secret of that at all. They're just looking for the right way to do that. And one of the ways, as mentioned before, and nobody else talks about this, is they were giving free passports for anybody in the Brest region, which is Belarus, for anybody that wants it, anybody that is living there as a resident of it. And of course, one reason for that is if they ever get the right opportunity to move in there, that they can say, well, these are all Polish people anyway, so you don't have any room to say anything. And yeah, so that's part of that as well. And of course, all the threats. But I've mentioned a lot of that. They say Belarus is planning on trying to take over the Suwalki corridor, which is that smaller area that leads to Kaliningrad. So, and of course, Kaliningrad is Russian, but Belarus is allied with Russia. So, it would make sense, but it's not going to make sense. Lukashenko, like I tell you guys, he's probably the one person that deserves the Nobel Peace Prize more than any other leader. He has never shown any aspirations. He's never incited any of the people, which would also not go for it, of any territorial expansion. None whatsoever. But yet, in Poland, and maybe those other countries, they're trying to say much different. I don't know if there's any people that are that stupid to actually believe that. The Belarusian people won't do it. The Belarusian military would not want to go along with that either. There would be a lot of opposition inside of Belarus for that. So I think it's all a bunch of hogwash, obviously. I was going to come up here, but maybe they'll be playing some music or something, show you this screen and whatever that's all about. This, it looks sort of like greenhouses, but I think it's maybe some sort of a restaurant. What is this up here, a theater? Zal. Can't see, there's lights up there. A concert hall. So, anyway, let's keep going here. So, Zelensky says they're 100% ready to send their troops in there. And Russia says if they send their troops in there, they're going to be targets. So, they've got full warning. So it's almost like they said, we want to start this war. We're going to send our troops there. We're going to send NATO troops there. The whole reason, or one of the main reasons for the start of the special military operation in the first place. But since we didn't achieve that, we're going to do it now. And if you bomb us, then we got our war. That's what everybody's talking about. I don't know. I don't think there's that incredibly stupid. That would take an incredible amount of stupidity to actually send troops there. I don't know. It's like telling that you may as well just tell your people, well, everybody, we're going to sacrifice you. We want a war with Russia, and we want to, I don't know. I wonder if that would invite. I'll tell you what, I don't think Russia's going to start bombing France or Great Britain if that happens, but they're going to be bombing those soldiers there. And of course, if those soldiers or anything coming from Britain, for example, if they start sending ships to the Baltic, and like I said, and others maybe have even told you, the intention is to turn the Baltic Sea into a NATO lake. And Russia depends on that lake, or, on the Baltic Sea to, for imports, for shipping, coming to St. Petersburg or wherever else. And of course, they plan on trying to cut that off. I don't know. This could be slow creeping into some really, really bad stuff. And Russia, I'll tell you what, I don't doubt for 1 minute that they're in mass production right now with this Oreshnik missile, which is non-nuclear, incredibly destructive, built on kinetic energy rather than any kind of technologies that bombs are built on today, not even nuclear. So they're going to be in for a big shock on that. I don't think they're massive bombs. I don't know. Do they have a version that's massive like the Moab, the mother of all bombs that the U.S. is using now, like even in Yemen? And yeah, film footage, I'll talk about that in a minute here. I'll start to rush through a little bit instead of trying to stretch this out. It's a Saturday and I got a little bit more time, so some of you guys like the longer videos, so get ready. Yes. Okay, Zelensky's also talking about, he's also getting spy capabilities. Europe is now giving Zelensky the abilities to use their satellites for pinpointing targets in Russia, which means also civilian targets, which is what they've been doing anyway. The main focus of Zelensky's military is to hit civilians, obviously. They figured out they can't beat the Russians militarily, so they're bombing them, with civilians. But there's of course attacks with drones as well, and they are killing Russians. Russians don't seem to report it though, but I think it's just not as in high in numbers as the Ukrainians. Lots of Ukrainians are dying. So, yes, and Trump doesn't want to be left out of that. He's threatening Iran again, and I don't know what that's going to lead to. But he's pushing Iran. Essentially what he's saying is, when the 2-month deadline runs out, I'm not even sure what day that runs out on. If you don't do what we tell you to do, then what was his words? His words are, bad things are going to happen to them. Bad things are going to happen to you. We know where your daughter does her laundry. Your little girl in school. Oh, yeah. How about the teacher? She got a B on her last report. Your daughter. Oh, question number 4, she should have had a better answer. Things like that. It sounds like gangster talk. Bad things are going to happen to you if you don't do what we order you to do. But he was what was he saying? He'd rather talk it out. It's like J.D. Vance. I'll get to J.D. Vance too, what he's talking about in Greenland right now. So he was giving his speeches to the soldiers there. It's like America's got soldiers all over the place. What is it? So many bases. Anyway, I'll talk about that too. But anyway, so he said to the soldiers there, and he gave quite a show. It's his speech was filled with so much fake news that you can't even believe it. A lot of fake news. It's incredible. You would not think that that they would turn the tables. You know, Trump was affected very much, you know, for many years about this Russia, the Russia hoax stuff. And here they go up to Greenland, and they're talking about Russian aggression. And Trump, he put out a video. It was like, you know, showed a lot of black and white footage, and it's talking about the Nazis. You know, it's and how America defended Greenland. I think at some point in time, somewhere near Greenland, I believe, maybe the Nazis, they hit an American ship. I don't know how much destruction. They had some footage. I don't know if that was the footage. I don't know. But anyway, they claim that there was that they attacked, the Nazis attacked an American ship or something, and they act as if they're defending Greenland. And it's like, maybe the Nazis wanted something in Greenland. I have no idea. But it was, of course, done up, especially from that thing from Donald Trump, you know, and how America has standed tall or something. But I think I even have the name of that, but I'll let me keep going here. J.D. Vance is saying Greenland is not safe. He said Russian incursions and the Chinese and all that. And Vladimir Putin just put out just a few days ago, they have no interest whatsoever in Greenland. They're not going to get involved in any way, shape, or form. It's like what would Russia want with Greenland, you know? I don't know. This is all just selling points. It's selling points, I don't know, maybe aimed at the American people, aimed at the people of Greenland, to say, oh, you're going to be in big trouble unless the United States comes here. But let me keep going about this. This is a big deal, you know, big talk here. It looks like the U.S. has a tremendously huge push to get Greenland. And what was that joke? I think it was Rob Schneider. He had this joke, and it was about Canada, and and he said, you know, Canada getting angry that the United States wants to make them the 51st state, and then who was it? Somebody says, no, we're not. You're going to be the 52nd state. Greenland's going to be the 51st state. Wait your turn, Canada. You know, it's pretty funny. Rob Schneider is absolutely fantastic. So let's see. Russian incursions. Russia. China. Oh, come on, man. Joe Biden. Yeah, and then he led from that into that Russia is establishing these Arctic sea routes. And of course they are. And Russia does not have as much presence on the seas as the United States does. The United States has a great big beautiful ocean between the United States and Europe and China. Much bigger ocean between that and China. And a beautiful ocean, as Donald Trump was saying. But Russia really doesn't have that. And, you know, they got very little presence in those areas. And what presence they do have on the oceans, of course, the United States and the West in general is trying to take it from Russia. They're trying to force Russia out. I'd already mentioned the Baltic Sea is becoming a NATO lake. We'd cut Russia off from even using it at all. And then there's the Black Sea as well. And that's why the USA, well, not just the USA, Great Britain, these countries have all been trying to get the Crimea because of the Sevastopol, you know, ports there. And Russia, like I said, was trying to build a port very similar at Novorossiya, you know. But anyway, this war actually happened. They were even having the British involved with tourism. 3 huge hotels right by there. Anyway, I talked about that before, but you know, this thing preceded it. And Novorossiya is, you know, it's kind of like the port for Krasnodar, which is one of the biggest booming cities in Russia. And it's not too far from Sochi, so very good weather there. All that. There's only one day, I think, Novorossiya, they have like one day a year, you know, where there's huge winds, hurricane force winds that even blow the roof off. It's really strange. And a lot of the photos you see about that area, there's not many trees, at least in that general area there. You know, a little bit beyond it, you know, there are trees, but That's just kind of strange, very strange climatic effect there at a certain time of year. But anyway, let's just throw that in there. And J.D. Vance didn't say much. I don't know. I didn't see anything where he's talking about the minerals, which might be the main reason why they want Greenland. I don't know. Or one of them. Definitely. And he said how Denmark has not stepped up to the plate. He didn't say that. I say that. That's my words. But they've not kept Greenland safe. And maybe Denmark has not really put in as much in Greenland as they actually could have. I would agree with a lot of that, of course. And of course, the Americans have a military base up there. That's where J.D. Vance was at, speaking. Anyhow, they want to develop a lot more military. Yeah. Let's see. Already said Russian aggression. Yeah. And I mentioned, I think it was in the last video, and it's actually worth noting that, and I wasn't thinking that J.D. Vance would be talking as he is. I wasn't really necessarily thinking of the Trump administration, but Russia is scapegoat number one, even by the Trump administration. So Russia, scapegoat. I can't believe it. I guess because it worked very well for the Democrats, and people peeing their pants whenever Russia's mentioned. But it's I just call it the hate Russia club. Hate. You better hate Russia, or else you have no place. Get out of here. You're not my friend unless you hate Russia. You have to hate Russia. That's the prerequisite, at least for the Europeans. They're just a little bit further along with that. I don't know that Trump is going to be pushing it, but yes. Okay. But J.D. Vance, he said the method that he's going to use, or they want to use, the United States wants to use, and this is going to sound very familiar to you. I just mentioned the Crimea, didn't I? But anyway, the method that they want to use is first start with a referendum to where Greenland, and the United States is going to push it. They might even pay for this, push it where Greenland declares independence from Denmark. And of course, the people in Greenland are very much in favor of that. And they've been talking, but they haven't done it. I guess they've now found somebody who's actually going to organize it for them. Enter the United States. So enter USA. So that's probably going to happen sooner than you think it is. And then he said, after that, well, we'll see what happens, he said. And we might not have to use military force. It's like, what are you saying? What are you saying? We'll see what happens. And it's like, we might not have to use the military. In other words, we intend on annexing, his words. He might as well have said it. We intend on annexing Greenland. Whether that's going to be a state or a district or who knows what. What about Puerto Rico and some of these other places? They're not really states. America's got islands, and what is it, Marshall Islands? Not just Puerto Rico, they got the Virgin Islands. I don't know, they got places all over the place. I don't know. Diego Garcia, we're even looking at something like that. And it's, I don't know. Who owns Diego Garcia? Is it the British? Is it the Americans? Or is it somebody else? What are the, I don't know, it's not the Maldives. Whoever is closest to that area, I have no idea. Maybe it's some area that's perpetually in limbo. Yeah, but, gosh, I just can't believe that. I cannot believe it, people. And the U.S., again, they're continuing the massive bombing of Yemen. And I was mentioning already before, many videos ago, and you guys probably remember this because I reiterated on this a number of times. Being in the military myself and knowing how the lies are just absolutely enormous, but you don't know in which direction and what they're lying for and what the purpose of it is all about. And remember, what I was getting at here is, remember Joe Biden? He was sending cluster munitions to Ukraine, and he said, well, that's all we have left. We've given them everything else. And then this thing from October 7th, what is it? over a year ago or whatever, in Israel started, and it's like magic. It's just complete, total magic. The USA had so many massive amounts of bombs that they were sending to Israel. It was just incredible. And they say within some months, there were more bombs dropped on Gaza than in the entirety of World War II. It's incredible. You know, and they just like Donald Trump said, it's not really that imaginative to say that basically it is completely destroyed. You know, it's not completely destroyed, but, you know, really, really bad. You know, like Minsk. For the most part, Minsk was virtually completely destroyed in World War II by the German bombing and all that. But, yeah. Anyway, I get on with that. As a matter of fact, the house I live in, it survived. It was built in 1935, and which is pre-World War II, and that made it. There's houses in my area that survived, and there's some other areas, but in the inner parts of Minsk, of course, that was mostly all destroyed, and a lot of the beautiful, beautiful buildings were built by Stalin afterwards, some of them in the up in as late as maybe even getting us almost up to 1960. So, yeah, and I'll tell you, the United States has far more bombs than that. And I'm just looking at this bombing of Yemen every single night. Last night, I think, the time that I had read it, I don't know when that report was. I didn't read it at that time, but it was the report that was mentioned at that time. I think it was like at 2 or 2:30 in the morning, and there was 30 bombing raids made, and the night before it was 100 bombing raids. And that does not mean 100 bombs. It means that's how many raids. How many bombs did they drop in those raids? And I'm talking about the larger bombs, not the smaller ones. So lots and lots and lots of bombs. And I'm just wondering, well, where are they getting all these bombs? I mean, these ships, are they all loaded, packed full with bombs that this Harry Truman and all the other ships around him are just all packed with bombs? Because they just seem to have endless amounts of bombs. And it just reiterates what I was saying, you know, that, oh, Ukraine, we ran out of bombs, we had to give them cluster munitions, even though they're illegal. They had to give them because we didn't have anything left, you know. And then when Israel started their deal, huge amount of bombs. And of course, this is also all for Israel. The United States, there's nothing that benefits them. It's only ships going to Israel, and that's all that the Houthis were actually targeting. But as you know, we all know there's some real backdoor crap, you know, deals made and all that. And sadly enough, the United States is completely, militarily at least, in the Middle East area, they're completely and utterly subservient to Israel. It's very strange. I don't understand it all myself, but it's the honest truth, and you guys all know it. Anybody that watches this channel. So, I don't know, very odd stuff. Okay, but I don't know how many hundreds of bombs they drop every, even 30 bombing raids if they didn't do any more after that. And of course, they started very early last night, I don't know, soon after dark, 10 o'clock, and then they started bombing and bombing. The first report I saw was at 11. It came at 11, which meant who knows when the bombing raid occurred. 10, maybe 9, I don't know. During Ramadan, of course. You have to think, if they had so many bombs then, and then they're loaded onto these ships, and then you think about other places where they would keep bombs. In the United States, as far as big military bases, it's known that they have at least 800, and I've been to some other smaller places. They have smaller places with, as a matter of fact, I went to some Air Force bases, and there's nothing to do with planes there. Nothing whatsoever. There's no landing field or nothing, but yet it's an Air Force base, and it's not even in the American sector in Germany. And I've been to a lot of these strange places. And there is one, well, a lot of these things are small, very small, and maybe, I don't even know if they have 100 soldiers stationed there. And of course, it's completely walled off. Nobody's allowed in there. I was not, believe it or not, there's a lot of these places, I was not even allowed to go in. Only the high diplomats that I brought there, you know, and the politicians and all that, I had to stay outside, and all of them went in for some sort of a tour thing. And a lot of the Germans, they think it was a like a place where there's a Pershing missile, and it wasn't. It's as a matter of fact, it was an Army air base, but yet there's no planes there, no helicopters, nothing whatsoever. But it's an Army air base. Figure that one out. So, and there's also no missiles there. And the diplomats, when they were talking to me, they said they're laughing. They think it's a Pershing missile there and all that. They told me what it was, but I won't say. Anyway, it's like it's not a big secret if they told me, so I'm not going to say anything about it anyway. But if you're trying to look at all these small posts that the United States has around the world, there's at least 2,000, maybe there's 3,000, maybe 4,000 if you think about it. If you want to call these military bases where there's less than 100 people stationed, 800 military bases, right, that's a complete and utter joke. There's far more than that. Yes, but, well, my point was that, well, how many of these would contain lots of these massive amounts of bombs? And maybe it's 400, maybe it's 500. And I'm talking about big bombs, not little bombs. I don't know, a lot of things when you see in the military. I spent 7 years, so you see a lot of things and you find out a lot of things. I don't want to say it all together on one place or not. Okay, and also yesterday, after I made that video, which was early in the morning, and let me add something about that video. It's incredible. YouTube was not uploading my video. I put it on and it would just stay there. And I tried a couple things, and one of the things I've noticed, because I did this before, when it just stays there, and if I don't do anything, it just sits there and says uploading, and it will be going for hours and hours and hours, never show how much is uploaded. And then they have two ways to find out how much is uploaded. You look at this little ring, and the light goes around, and that's the percentages, and you can see if it's 25% and 30 and all that, or and 50%, and it wasn't moving at all. And also on their number counter, it said nothing. Sometimes it says 0, and you can watch it, and 20 minutes later it still says 0. And then I've had times, strangely enough, when I uploaded it, videos even nearly 1 hour long, and in like 10 minutes it's 50% down uploaded already, and 20-minute videos, it doesn't upload at all. Sometimes it takes 5 hours or 6 hours for a 20-minute video to get uploaded. I was thinking maybe a lot of it has to do with the time I'm uploading them and onto YouTube. Seems that is part of the case, but I've done it at other times when it's gone fast. It still doesn't go fast. I don't know. A lot of you are writing to me as well, and you're telling me about the problems you have with YouTube. Somebody was writing to me, and that they say when they're writing comments, even on my channel, that YouTube is deleting their comments all the time, and they have to put little smiley faces or something. That's the only thing that YouTube allows. Who knows what? And they don't put any curse words or nothing. They're just trying to put a message, and YouTube doesn't upload them. I don't know. They have certain things about certain people they don't really like, and mine yesterday. The terrible part about that is, and I think maybe it's because I mentioned it in one of my videos, that if it's not uploaded by a certain time, then I can't use my phone in class. I can't use my translator, to find out, well, what does this word mean? This Russian word, what does that mean in English? Or how do I say this English word in Russian? And I can't even use those programs or the apps, because there's way too much energy being taken for uploading the video. It just doesn't work. So my phone is actually useless until the video is uploaded. So and yesterday, like you start very early in the morning, and I started uploading it before 8 o'clock at 7:45, and then when was it finished? I don't know, 3 something? Jeez. The entire working day, you're waiting for a 40-minute video to upload onto YouTube, and otherwise you can't use your phone. Jeez. Okay, that's just how it is. They love me at YouTube. They love me. Okay. Ukraine yesterday. Well, that's what I was going to start when I interrupted myself. But yesterday they attacked again. Ukraine attacked this Sudza pipeline, and I believe that is the pipeline. I'm not sure if that is the one that's part Exxon and Chevron and all that. A lot of American stockholders in that as well. But anyway, the Russians put out that it's completely destroyed down and completely unusable, and Ukraine, that's part of this truce, and Putin started following this truce, as he talked with Trump. Matter of fact, while he was on the telephone, and they even shot down their own drones that were going to bomb some part of some infrastructure in Ukraine. The Russians shot their own drones down. That was on the 18th of March, and Ukraine, I think, says, oh no, that started on the 25th. Well, even on the 25th, they started bombing the infrastructure and bombing oil stations and gas pipeline, things like that. And they continued, and that even yesterday, what was it, the 28th yesterday? Yeah, they're still bombing them. So right after signing it, they kept bombing these infrastructures that they agreed not to bomb. So much for honoring their ceasefire. And Zelensky comes out and says that Russia is the ones that's not obeying the ceasefire. Continuously, over and over. But he's an honest guy, so wow. Yes. He said his justification for saying that Russia is disobeying the ceasefire is the fact that Russia keeps advancing. At least he came in and admitted that, instead of saying we're winning and Russia's losing. You remember when he was sitting there with Trump, and Trump was saying, when you're losing, and Zelensky goes like, trying to make everybody think, well, no, we're not. But at least he admitted that yesterday. Russia keeps advancing, and that's not part of the ceasefire. The ceasefire is about bombing infrastructure, primarily the gas pipelines, anything to do with gas and oil transfers, and Russia agreed to it immediately, just right after it was agreed with on Trump, like I just said. And the Zelensky, or the Ukrainians, they've never followed it. They keep bombing all these places. Wow. And that's all that it is about. It has nothing to do with advancing or attacks on troops. And of course, Ukraine keeps doing that as well. And they're actively trying to recruit all sorts of people in Russia to do bombings there, paying them money, all sorts of things. And Russia keeps raiding and finding out a lot of these people. It's pretty interesting. But Zelensky's taken everybody for fools, I guess. I don't know if Trump is hearing about all this stuff or not. It'd be really interesting to find out. Okay. Yes. Okay. What I was going to say about that, I think I mentioned this already. Yeah, I mentioned about this. That was the part I was going to tell you about, this minerals deal that also doesn't seem to be finalized yet. How long have they been talking about this? How long they talk about the ceasefire? How long? When Trump said 24 hours, he said he will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. But I don't know. I think now they're saying, by the time Trump's first 100 days in office, he's going to end this war in Ukraine. I don't even know if that's going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm sure it's not going to happen. When you look at Great Britain and France and even Zelensky, they're planning on this going for a long time. They're planning on this going for years. It's they're building up a lot of things and getting everything ready and making agreements as if this is going to be going on for years. They have no intention. But yet Zelensky comes out and said Russia is trying to keep this going, and Zelensky's trying to get this guy. But no, he's an honest man. Jeez. Anyway, what's the point in even saying this stuff? The guy contradicts himself, probably even in the same conversations. So that ends this video. How long is this one? I don't know. Saturday. Makes me wonder how fast they're gonna upload this one. I don't know. Of course, it's after 9 now, but we'll see. Anyway, a lot of your comments that you guys are making, I appreciate it. Really nice. Like I said, not getting any new subscribers. YouTube, of course, is suppressing the channel as well. So it's just amazing that some of you guys are still even making comments or supporting me. I think yesterday, but it's only like about 50 people. I get 50 people that regularly see the videos, and you know, I got what, 800 and some subscribers, and I understand that YouTube definitely is not sending this out to a lot of the subscribers. If you're not watching the videos regularly, they're not going to send any notifications for when the videos are getting put up anyway, and I understand that. But they'd rather send a lot of this real junky advertisement. Some of the crap really pisses me off. I have no friggin' interest in playing worship piano or whatever this stuff that comes out, or some anyway. So I don't know. They had this penis enlargement advertisement that looked pretty interesting though. No, anyway. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Who knows what's going to happen today? You know, it's a little weird stuff anyway, but looking for Greenland, become a part of the USA. I don't know. They cooled down about Canada. They're not necessarily taking that in. Looks like Panama is going to be a little bit long term, possibly, but it looks like the main push is for Greenland. Wow. Anyway, we're seeing that. Okay. Well, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.